What's going on, everybody? Today, we're going to talk about 5 ways you can buy investment properties without 20% down.
What? Let's roll the intro. We'll be right back.
Let's go.
Let's go. Come on.
Welcome to the It's Me, Larry B podcast with Larry B and Nelly. Let's go!
Ice cubes touching your straw. Let me introduce you to the sauce. Let me introduce you to the sauce.
What's up, everybody? We're back. The Real Estate Cheddar Podcast. I'm Larry B.
And I'm Nelly G.
And today, we're going to talk about ways you can buy real estate investment properties without 20% down.
It's pretty awesome.
People think, oh man, I can't be a real estate investor. I don't have 20% down. I don't have perfect credit. There's so many ways, right?
Yeah, there's so many ways.
So, we're going to talk about the 5 ways you can buy real estate investment properties with little to sometimes very little down. So if you got 10 grand, you can buy a nice investment property these ways we're about to show you. So the first way that I want to get into is for young investors or somebody that does not own a home, or somebody maybe that's single, anybody could do this, but it could be tough on a family, and that's an FHA fourplex.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know about our areas, but a fourplex goes from 2 to 5, maybe 2 to 8, depending on where it's at, the location, how big the units are. There's a lot of different things, but FHA and possibly USDA. I'd have to dig into that. We'll have to ask some lenders when they get on here, but I'm pretty sure you can do USDA too, and you could actually buy a fourplex. In our area, and most areas have these down payment assistance programs, you could buy a fourplex as your first property and live in one of the units. Now, that's the key. It has to be your primary residence. Now, I don't think there's any rules to how long it has to be your primary residence. I don't think you have to stay there forever. Things change in life. If you had a child, you might not want to stay in a one-bedroom apartment, but you cannot have bad intent, right? So you can't say, I'm going to buy a fourplex and I'm never going to live there and I'm just going to lie to everybody. You will go to prison. So that's not, that's not a thing to do. But say you're a young couple and you're living in an apartment anyway, you could buy a fourplex. You could use down payment assistance for your down payment. You could do ask the seller to pay the closing cost and literally buy a fourplex with less than $1,000.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Inspections and appraisal, somewhere in the $1,000 range. You could buy a fourplex and live in one of the units and rent the other 3 with very, very little cash now.
Yeah. Yep. Beginning of the inventory.
Yeah.
You got 4 doors right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. And as times change on the road, maybe you have another child, maybe you need a little bigger house, you can flip that to an LLC. By then you would have some equity, buy another primary residence. You always want your primary residence is tax-free, right? So you want to keep a primary residence that you live in. You don't pay any taxes on the profit that you make on it. I say tax-free. You still have property taxes. There's things you have to do. But if you make $200,000 on that property, you don't have any taxes or capital gains on the profit that you make on that property.
Your primary residence. Yes.
But that fourplex is a great way for a young investor or an early investor to get started with their first property. You have several rental units already. You have a plan for down the road to grow out of that. And they understand that things do change, right? So if you buy these apartment complexes, you live there 3 years, now you have 2 kids that really don't fit your plan, you're not stuck to stay there. You're not signing a lifelong thing with the government that says you have to stay there forever. But you do have to have good intent to live in that property, and it has to be your primary residence to get this kind of loan. But a great way for an investor to get started.
Great way to start.
Another way people don't ever think about is another property in a different area could be a vacation or second home. And it is okay to do a government loan or a conventional loan on a second property with 5 to 10% down and make it an Airbnb part-time, and you go there, it's a second home. So that's a great way to buy an investment property with a little money down.
And you got somewhere to go.
Yeah, little looser terms too, right? So you could do this loan over and over. It's something you could buy as long as they're all in different areas. So you can't go to one area of a certain state and buy 10 properties as a second vacation home. They have to be in different areas. But that is a loan that you could do several times, a lot lower than 20 to 25% down. Most investment properties are 20 to 25% down if you're going to do investment loans. And your first couple could be higher than that. You know, the banks like to see some investing experience when they do these loans. But that would be a good way to get a lower down payment and buy more properties if you had a cash. You know, I always pitch that if somebody's got a bunch of money in the bank, say you got $100,000 in the bank and you make 2.5% interest on your savings account, and
2.5 is high.
Yeah.
Like point something.
And let's say you got your money in a money market account and it's making 4.5, and inflation is 4% that year. Guess what? Your money didn't really go up at all. So your investment isn't going anywhere, to where with you could take that same 100,000, put it down on real estate, and you could grow some real wealth. So a lot of people are really scared to pull the trigger the first time. Another way, say you could get in with less money down, is to LLC your primary.
Right.
And so let's say you bought a starter house, you've had it 5-7 years, and now it really don't fit your needs. You need a bigger house, you need a smaller house, you need to move around. You could LLC that house. You could transfer that house to an LLC and buy another primary residence through FHA or conventional with 3.5 or 5% down.
Yeah.
So that's a way you could add a property to your portfolio with very little down on your new property. Great way, but think about this when you do that. You have to live in that house 2 of the last 5 years. So to keep your free equity that you made, that you don't have to pay taxes on, you've got to sell that house within 5 years, within 3 years actually. You have to have lived in it 2 of the last 5 years. So just keep that in mind when you're doing things like that. You know, another way, and we get into more of this in our other class and even in our coaching on It's Me, Larry B., but the fix and flip and the fix and holds can be a real way to make equity, right?
Yeah.
So if you had a little cash, you could buy a property with a hard money loan. And some of these hard money lenders might not make you pay 20% down, right? So if you can show them, and especially if you've done it with them before, and you can show them that, hey, I'm going to buy this house for $150, I'm going to put $250 in it, and it's going to be worth $280 when I get done. If they can see a 20% equity in the end project, they could see that they might do this deal with little to nothing down.
Yeah, you kind of have to have a portfolio for that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is a down the road thing, but maybe, you know, we know some hard money lenders around here that might help you through that whole process. So if they can be involved in the whole process, they feel better. They know, but if you're an experienced investor, this is a great way to add properties with little to nothing down. You could literally, in the end, say that exact scenario just happened. You bought it for $150. You put $50 in it, all hard money. So the hard money lender will give you the $150 and the $50 for repairs. You end up with $200 in the property. It appraises for $300. Just keep the numbers straight. 20% down at $300. You could borrow $240. You could pull all the cash you put in out, even more than what you had in the project. So you could even take some cash home for the next project, and you would have a $240 mortgage on the property. You would have $60 in equity. You put it as a rental, and so you could actually come out with more money in your pocket in the end of this than when you started. The trick to them are finding them deals.
Yeah. There's got to be a lot of meat on the bone for purchase price.
There does.
There's not well, there's some out there. You just got to look for them.
You do. You got to dig. You got to dig and prospecting for gold. You know, sometimes people just want to get rid of a property.
True.
Maybe they inherited it. They don't care. They just want it gone. So that's something that you can kind of think about. But these deals are out there. You can grow a real estate empire with very little cash if you're a smart investor.
Yeah. Yep. And you got to have a good team around you to help you guide you through and
You do. You
get
do.
the numbers all in order and make sure there's enough meat and all that stuff. You got to have a good team around you.
Yeah. But even an agent knowing about things like this could really help an investor and grow, and they both make a little money, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's something that could happen. The last way is a way that really takes some skill, but you can buy a property with very, very, very little down if you hunt the right places. And on our coaching at It's Me, Larry B, we teach you where to find these properties, how to do this system. We've got it on the BRRR system. We can show you how to build an empire. If you had $50,000 cash, we can show you how to build an empire of houses, literally as many as you want over time. Obviously, it takes time and work, but you could grow an empire and still have your $50,000 in the bank. People don't realize that anybody, when I say it, anybody with a little cash and a decent job that's willing to work hard can grow an empire. But this last way, owner finance, and we're going to get into all this. I hear people say, I'm going to wholesale. Well, that's the rookie way, right? So if you think you're going to be a wholesaler, that's the rookie way to run these properties. And we're going to show you why, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flack out of wholesalers on this. But if you're going to do a wholesale deal, why would you just spend all that time to try to get a contract that you could maybe sell? Why wouldn't you put that house on an owner finance deal, right? That's
but
what
the
I
owner
would
has
do.
to be willing to finance it. It's sometimes they want their whole chunk. They want the whole thing.
Balloon payments is a way.
Right.
We've got owners that do a lot of crazy stuff over the years because balloon payments. When you tell them, oh, you finance it for me for 20 years, no, they don't want to do that. But when you say, okay, look, I need you to do an owner finance, but in 18 months, I'm going to have you paid off totally, that changes the game of the discussion. So we've got so many little tricks that we teach like this at itsmelarryb.com, but owner financing, I mean, how many properties over and over?
Which also gets confused for contract for deed.
Yeah, it does. And we have a class on that on It's Me, Larry B Coaching, the difference between contract for deed, owner finance, what a quit claim deed is. A lot of people don't understand it, but owner finance is the best way for the seller. And there's a lot of reasons, for the buyer, and there's a lot of reasons for that, right? One is you have 100% control of the property. They're just the lien holder. That's what changes the game in the whole thing. But the owner finance deal is finding them. I promise you, there's some commercial stuff out here. There's some light commercial. There's some office space right now that they will owner finance you with almost nothing down. And a lot of it, they would probably hold on 20 years. So I'm not saying go out and buy a bunch of office space, but I'm saying there's ways to find these properties, make the offer to the seller that works for you and the seller. It gets them out of a property they're having a hard time selling. It gets you into a property that you have a plan for that has an upside, and everybody wins. So the owner finance deal can really be a way you can get some properties. If you got $5,000 to $10,000 and you come to me tomorrow, I could show you exactly where to go find a property. And again, this all goes back to our coaching, but if you're really serious about our investing, our coaching for investors is very inexpensive. I think it's like $9 for the first month and then $30 a month after that. But we have classes, webinars. We bring people in, to our group webinars. We even have one-on-one coaching. It's a little more expensive, but if you're real serious about being an investor, one-on-one coaching is a great way to do it. We can show you if you have the money. We can teach you exactly how to do this. We can point you towards the right properties, where to look for the right properties, where to find, how to keep as much cash as you can, get the lowest down payment loans. These are all things we teach at It's Me, Larry B. And owner finance. I've got a property I bought 10 years ago for $280,000 owner finance. I put $20,000 down, hoping to sell it this year in the mid 1.5 to 1.7 million. So these are properties that are out there. They're out there, and you can grow an empire with them, and we can show you the way. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. We're coming back soon.
That's right. We'll be back.
episode after episode. We're dropping them now. Everything's going good. Check out our website, itsmelarryb.com. You can find us anywhere. It's Me Larry B. We're all over YouTube, everywhere. So everywhere. We're everywhere. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Let's go.
And me, Larry B. Media. Hooray!
That was really good. Did a good job.